data suggests that we're in for some good news over the next 30, 60, 90 days when it comes to not only mortgage rates, but inflation in general. So.
Hello, everyone. My name is Matt Thomas. I'm a realtor in the Denver, Colorado area, and I'm here with my guest host, Brian Dewald. Brian, why don't you tell us what you do and a little bit about what you have going on for today?
Thanks for the introduction, Mr. Matt. I am a professional mortgage professional. I know that sounds kind of goofy. Hopefully you can edit that piece out.
Well, congratulations on that. Sounds official.
I doubled up on that professional piece. So,
Very professional, yes.
I'm a mortgage lender. I've been doing that about 20 years and having a lot of fun.
Very good. Well, obviously, yeah. If you notice, there may or may not be some palm trees in the back, but Brian does mortgages here in Denver, Colorado. And if you've been following us at all, we have been off pace a little bit, but the reason in part is there's several reasons. But anyway, we had really experienced, the mortgage world was really doing a lot of changes on a week-to-week basis. Actual mortgage rates change on an hourly basis, to be totally honest. But we try to bring you news when we believe that it's especially poignant and relevant. And so here we are again. It's been about a month since our last update. Brian, we've seen things change quite a bit since fall of last year. Why don't you catch us up to date on what's going on in the mortgage world?
Yeah, so a couple things. If we look at the between fall and now, we've seen a drastic uptick in mortgage applications. Looking at, I don't have all the stats in front of me going back that far, but, the first 2 or 3 weeks in January, we saw as many as 20 to 25% uptick per week in mortgage applications. It's fallen off a little bit from last week. But generally speaking, mortgage loan applications, particularly to buy a house, are drastically up from the fourth quarter of last year. So a lot more buyer demand is what we're seeing. I did a quick snapshot of some inventory stats to kind of add to that a little bit, and it really put some pressure on buyers, right? We were a little slow there in the fourth quarter in terms of homes being purchased, and it seems like we're seeing more and more of that. I got a couple of quick stats here to share with you. I'm going to look at my cheat sheet. Just as far as a couple of quick numbers, in January of 2023, there were 2,662 homes that went under contract. Just to put that in perspective, in January of 2022, there were 3,158 homes sold. So, there's and I'm sorry, the first stat was homes that were active and available. So there's about a 500, a surplus from last year to this year from homes that went under contract versus what was available this year. So certainly inventory is our challenge at the moment, right? So
yeah, without a doubt. I mean, we're certainly seeing that. I've got buyers sitting on the sidelines waiting for particular neighborhoods to open up, and nothing seems to be available. What we saw so rates, correct me if I'm wrong, but rates went down since their peak in November.
Yep.
For about at least a good solid 6 weeks.
Yep.
And what happened was that kind of sprung things back to life, especially after we got past the new year. And we all of a sudden saw homes that had been sitting on the market that had literally been listed sometimes last summer or last fall that hadn't gotten the traction and the attention that they needed. They started disappearing off the market.
Yep.
And they got more affordable. The prices came down, the mortgage rates came down, and they just disappeared. We are kind of waiting for that new surge of spring inventory. February traditionally is one of the roughest months in terms of inventory. It wouldn't matter if it was 2016, 2020, 2023. February is typically the lowest inventory we see. And I believe that there's kind of a buildup because right now that we're past the Super Bowl, statistics will tell us, and what the Super Bowl has to do with it, I don't know. But the Super Bowl traditionally has been the week where we start to see, activity kind of pick up in the marketplace. So I think that with new inventory, we're going to see, the buyers who've been chomping at the bit to get back in the market are going to really kind of latch on to that new inventory.
In terms of mortgage rates, the last 10 days or so has been a little bit of a slide in the wrong direction. It's been kind of a goofy set of circumstances, to be honest with you. the most recent CPI report came out as an improvement. What we look at when it comes to mortgage rates is, this time last year versus this time now, right? So when the report for February that just was released a couple of days ago came in at, I believe it was 6.3, which is an improvement from 6.4. And I might be off by 10. Maybe it was 6.5 last year and 6.4 now. Nonetheless, it was an improvement, but it fell short of expectations. We were expecting at least 0.2%, and it only came down 0.1%. So markets didn't react very favorable in that capacity. And additionally, what happened last week was super weird. I'd never seen this before, where they came out and actually adjusted CPI from the last report. So markets didn't react well to that last week, not reacting very positively this week, but it's all just part of the yo-yo with mortgage rates.
Well, I think the reason that we have this periodic mortgage minute is to kind of bring you the news, because we would expect that generally speaking, things are going to be volatile. And I think, 2023 in general we'll probably continue to see some volatility. There's a lot of predictions as to when rates will finally kind of come down. If they're going to, if this is the lowest they'll ever be, that kind of thing. What I think will probably happen is we'll just see it yo-yo up and down because of various reactions in the market to the various numbers, and the big thing is the inflation that we're fighting. So it's interesting, though, because I think that some people may be tempted to time the market. And I understand, obviously, that affordability really fluctuates as rates, can tick up, and substantially sometimes in a short amount of time while someone's in the buying process. What else do we need to jump into?
I think for now, we'll just, sort of keep an eye on the CPI reports as those continue to, come out, and we're crossing our fingers for, improved inflation reports. When we talk about CPI, right, that's the consumer price index. It's the core sort of measure that mortgage bonds react to on a daily basis. So, we're going to continue to monitor those. Yeah, so I follow some folks in in the mortgage industry that are looking very seriously at what the these reports were over the last 6, 12, 18 months, and the data suggests that we're in for some good news over the next 30, 60, 90 days when it comes to not only mortgage rates but inflation in general. So
really,
yep.
Okay, that's great to know.
Yeah, the one that they're really eyeing. There's a report being released, I believe it's the 10th, maybe the 12th of May, that is talking about housing, right? There's this weird curve. Part of what makes up CPI is housing data. And unfortunately, it's delayed news, right? We almost look at like a curve where, there's right now, here's where the data is, but it's not being reported. It's 90 days old. So, by the time that information comes out, should be by April. And it seems like they've tailored back a little bit from their bold predictions. But nonetheless, it should still be a relatively good bit of news that comes out that would, ideally push mortgage rates down a little bit. So it seems like there might be some of that again towards the end of the year, October, November, December, something like that. So,
well, and I think what's good is that, you can still scan the internet for clickbaity headlines that are going to talk about, crash and all the other things. And what I think is really happening is, where you see a lot of the people who, the experts who are making the predictions and the institutions who are making predictions have all revised their predictions for 2023 back up in terms of, they don't think that we're going to see home depreciation quite as much as they were, as some of them were thinking that would happen. And certainly when rates get better, we're going to see that improvement, and we're going to see potentially a tick up in pricing, which and it's debatable, I think, depending on which numbers, of course, you follow. That there's actually a lot of inflation can be attributed to the housing market and what's happened there. But I think we all can feel that there's still plenty of inflation going on in the market. So hopefully we can see that trend come down, and it makes sense. When these data are collected over a long period of time, it takes a long time to gather them, synthesize them, interpret them. And it's only the stock market, the bond market that reacts in real time, which
right.
Affects rates on a real time basis. But that's the whole point of why we have Mortgage Minute, to drop in and kind of check in with what's going on as best anyone can tell. And this is, again, we're trying to lend our expertise here for, myself on the real estate side, Brian on the mortgage side, to help you make the most of your decision. I think next week we'll share some information that I'd like to share regarding just overall home buying and the 30-year and 50-year trends. And when it comes to trying to time the market, you'll see that there's timing the market may not be as important as people think it is. Just getting in and buying and being in the market and adjusting as you own, especially with your rate or whatnot, that can be where you can have that long-term benefit. So, Brian, I appreciate your time today, and we'll chat with you next week.
Forward to it. Thanks again for having me.
All right. Thanks, Brian.
Take care.
Forget that. I just lost my train of thought. So we'll edit this out.
Good. Good time to break and take a cough.
Yeah. I had to cough anyway. All right. Let's move on to the next thing.
That's funny.
We'll see how that goes, dude. I don't know what the hell I'm doing sometimes.